to Chasing Epiphanies, where knowledge is power and the pursuit of wisdom is celebrated for its own sake. My name is Marco, and this is my introduction. Since I've made my first handful of videos for Booktube, I figured that hey, now's as good a time as any to do the Booktube Newbie tag. I'll be answering the 10 questions of this tag, and we're getting into it right now. Question 1. Why'd you start this channel? Well, as the name might tell ya, Chasing Epiphanies is a channel that I wanted to make to seek out ideas and learn new things. Philosophy was an obvious topic I'd want to focus on in that case, and since that involved a lot of reading anyway, why not also make all of my reading habits part of this quest for knowledge? Discussing themes, storytelling tropes, the ideas of specific authors, and so on. But obviously I could just seek out new knowledge on my own, so a large part of it is also that I wish to express myself more, to spread knowledge and connect with people that share my interests. Question 2. What are some fun and unique things that you can bring to Booktube? Well, could a regular booktuber do this? Being 2D and the way that I can play with my presentation because of it, well, I think it speaks for itself. And as I said, beyond reviews, I also hope to discuss themes, tropes, the philosophies of certain authors and stories. Question 3. What are you most excited about for this channel? At this point, I'm mostly looking forward to any engagement that might come from my audience. And since the name of the channel is Chasing Epiphanies, it goes without saying that I hope to stumble on some eureka moments that lets me see new perspectives. Question 4. Why do you love reading? Well, I guess because that's where my mind engages the most with any subject. When you only have a text to go off of, your brain needs to get creative and imagine what's being described there on the page. And since I also want to write books and scripts, it's essential to read what others have written. Question 5. What book or series got you into reading? I'd say the Janus trilogy by Niklas Krog, a Swedish book series about a boy who joins the army of Alexander the Great, growing up along the road while being a part of his worldwide conquest. And to an extent Harry Potter. Don't think that's one that needs an introduction. These would be the coming-of-age adventures that I grew up with, so to speak. Question 6. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? Hey, any booktubers watching this right now, let me riddle you this. What is art? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, I know it sounds like a joke question, and people can feel free to answer with a joke too. Though I do tend to find that people's answers to questions like these can say a lot about them. Question 7. What challenges do you think starting a Booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? 2 things. First of all, keeping up a good pace. Procrastination is a thing, and it's my worst enemy. And secondly, reaching an audience. I'm a bit of an introvert, I'll have you know, and this channel is almost a one-man show. As such, having to get into the social media marketing side of things is something that I've yet to get accustomed to or efficient at. Question 8. When did you start reading? I guess the technically correct answer would just be when I learned how to read, but the less boring answer would be when I got into comics as a kid. One of my older brothers would often read from them out loud and point out where he was reading from so that I could follow along and all that. Question number 9. Where do you read? Plenty of places. On the balcony in the summer, in the local library on occasion, and on the bus or train whenever going somewhere. But mostly in my bed or chair, all cooped up and cozy in my room. Question number 10. What kind of books do you like to read? Fantasy, sci-fi, horror? Though honestly, anything with a high concept has a good chance of being read by me, since I like exploring any story with a weird and unique premise. For anyone that doesn't know, a high concept premise means that the story can be summed up in a sentence or two, often in the form of a question. Prime example, Jurassic Park. What if we could bring back the dinosaurs? So yeah, I just tend to like stories that explore a crazy what-if scenario. As a rule of thumb though, I do read a variety of books. So, whenever I venture outside the genres I know I like already, I tend to go for the classics, since they're stories that have withstood the test of time. And of course, anyone is free to recommend me literally any book, whether they think it would be interesting to see on this channel or something that I could read in my spare time. And I think that's about as good a place as any to end this newbie tag. Hope it's given you a better idea what to expect. And oh, always remember, intelligence is sexy, so be the sexy you. Read a book.